Shalom. Shalom. Okay, let me give all power. Let me give all praise, honor, and glory to our power. So my voice is killing me. Let me give all praise, honor, and glory to our power. The only power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Okay, double honors to the elders, bishops and apostles, the great millstone that wrote well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect of the children of Israel that are people of Negro, Latino, Native American, and Seminole Indian descent. Okay? Oh, let me not fail to mention the Israelite foreigners as well, who have been scattered around the four corners of the earth for being disobedient to our power, and that live amongst those heathen nations and may also resemble those heathen nations. And this may be pretty much an example of those Israelite foreigners as well. This video has nothing to do with that, but it may play into it. But this has a lot to do with young girls, virgins and whatnot. And for me watching this movie, The Pale Rider, it's always been on my mind for years. Anyway, just the movie and just this thing that happened in this movie with your boy Clint Eastwood, who was the preacher in the movie, who was being pursued by a young girl in the movie. So in order for them to put that in this movie, it had to have been something normal about that. Not to use the Western world as an excuse that people were out of order, or and they weren't modern or whatever. But no, it's that Western world was pretty much close to how the ancient world was in a lot of ways. But and as a matter of fact, and I'm wondering if they're going to even mention it in here, what the scenery and the time this movie was based around, and clearly you can see it's the Western world back in the 1800s. But I wonder if are they even going to mention the date, release date. That's not it. No, that's good. Running time, country, U.S. language. Okay. And it doesn't. I hate when they do things like that. These people think they're so thorough, but aren't thorough at all. They just leave it up to people who just assume what time it is, the date and whatever. But you can tell it was during the 1800s. But or I can just go and ask Google. But that's okay. And here we are, Clint Eastwood as the preacher. That's the preacher. In the ancient world, man, or the Western world, preachers were highly respected. And in the movie, he didn't entertain her advances. He didn't at all. But and she took offense of it. Her advances toward the preacher, which clearly you can see he's an older man. And again, she was, and I'm gonna ask Google that. And actually, I did, but I'm not sure if I still have it up. Okay, here it is. How old was, that's the character, Megan Wheeler, the character in Pale Rider. And this is her, Sydney Penny. You'll recognize her. So I click on it here. Let's hope this don't crash, man. Sydney Penny. They don't have a picture of her. But I have it here. How old was Megan Wheeler, the character in Pale Rider? That's her right there. Everyone recognizes her. She's been around. Images. Yeah, she's been around. And you know what's funny? Hold on. Yeah, she's in a lot of stuff. But this is her in the movie, the actual movie itself. You know what? Like I said, what's so funny is, the very first Snow Bunny that I've been with, back in '81. You know, she was 12 years old and I was 14. Um, um, no, I was 13. Uh, Resembles her, but the one I was with, dealing with, because you can see that she has a little color to her. It's one thing I noticed about some Jakes, man. They have a little tan to their skin. Not that that's a sign of them being an Israelite or not, but um, the chick that I was dealing with had color to her, and I know even before I met her, I knew her brothers. That we used to, you know, one of them was really dark, like really tan, like, man, you a nigga, you know. But nah, and my friends who I grew up with, they was looking at her. Her name was Sharon. They was looking at her. They were like, man, she built like a sister, you know. And at 12 years old, literally, she was curvy, ass and all, man. I mean, a fat ass at 12 years old. And everybody wanted her, man, but she didn't want to deal with nobody. She didn't even want to even look at nobody but me. Anyway, and so I snatched it up and dealt with her for the next few years until ignorance in my head set in. You know, ignorance, man, just being lost, just being just stupid, man. I was hoping to make that bigger, man, and resembles her. And I got pictures of her, and I'm not gonna show her. I got pictures of the one I was dealing with. Resembles her to a T. But again, mine was the one I was dealing with was more curvy and voluptuous, and still is to this very day. You know, put on a little weight, but it's still thicklicious, man. you know. So hold on, let's where's it at? Let's back up here, because I asked the question. Okay, here we go. How old was Megan Wheeler, the character in Pale Rider? You didn't hear no uproar or anybody question it. It was just taken and as if it was normal. And even to this day, when this movie is still highly watched, man, anything by Clint Eastwood. Where personally, I just think his movies were well written and well produced with directors. I never really thought he was the great actor. You know, his energy, his vibe, his charisma. So if you want to use that word, his presence. I think he's a Jake. You know. And I think that was just enough to get him over that hump to make him this great actor that he is. But personally, I never thought he was a real great actor. You know, not on the level where everybody else giving credit for. But you know, Clint is my dude, though. You know, Clint's movies is wild, man. There's examples of his movies that he's actually snapped women. I mean, there's a movie where he snatched a prostitute, though, and you know, Slocky, correcting myself. She wasn't even a prostitute. He snatched someone's wife and went to going in on her, you know, and they woke up the next day and it was as if it was nothing happened, and he beat it up, but later on she comes back to try and shoot him. But after he was finished with her, she was like cool with it. You know, there's a lot in Clint's movies, man. There's a lot of wickedness when you watch them. So anyway, Megan Wheeler, the character in Pale Rider, was around 14 years old at the start of the film. 14 years old, and you have to watch the movie. because, like I said, Clint East, the preacher, rejected her. And she accused the preacher of wanting her mom, where her mom was already married to her dad, living together and everything. And honestly, I have trouble figuring that out, if he did have interest in her or not. And I think that she really had, the adulterous wife, had interest in the preacher. So he rejected her advances toward her, and he gave her an excuse, you're pretty and this and that. When I can't remember what else he was saying, but she got angry and went ballistic, lost her mind, went in rebellion mode. She didn't cause too much damage, she just went in rebellion mode. But later on, at the end of the movie, she had a change of heart, and she wanted him back. And I wish I could play it, man. I wish I could play it. She said, I love you, preacher, I love you. So the character in the movie was a young girl, man. It says, 14 years old at the start of the film, the thugs shot her dog while leaving her camp, and later in the movie, she tells the preacher she'll be 15 soon, indicating a near birthday. Actress Sydney Penny was about 13 or 14 when filming, make her close to the age of to the role. So, so this is and you listen. The ancient world, which you see it came out, especially with the video Apostle Torah put out. Now, he mentioned, hey, and it's true. These scriptures, man, you have to leave your emotions out of it. Me personally, as far as emotions goes, I've said it before. I don't know if anyone ever listened to that video or not, but a sports fan, basketball fan, right? I was straight up Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen fan, because they dogs, man. And I literally didn't like Hakeem Olajuwon, okay? And because of my emotions, I didn't want to accept him as an Israelite, which I knew he was an Israelite. But I wasn't about to admit that he was an Israelite because I didn't like him as an NBA player. I didn't. He wasn't no bad player though. He was pretty good. I was just never a fan of his. I never liked him. Nothing wrong with that. But common sense set in, and I have to keep it real. Being a man of the Lord, man, you got to leave your emotions aside, man. You got to accept it for what it is. It ain't nothing that you're gonna lose sleep over. The man's an Israelite, man. And again, like Larry Bird, an Israelite. And I hated that son of a bitch, Larry Bird, man. I hated him, man. Well, it's just the image of how Babylon portrayed these white athletes as the greatest ever. And we were always in the hood, rejected that shit. Especially back in the day, being Dr. J found the Philadelphia 76ers battling against the Boston Celtics. And they and sports still do that to this day. I mean, everything's whitewashed, man. Even though it's obvious that the black athletes are the greatest athletes to ever touch this earth, But and those white athletes may be jakes too, but it's just the fact that they're pushing that so-called white man is the like the quarterbacks and whatever, man. They're the face of the sports. I've always rejected that. Always rejected it, man. Especially with advertisement and this and that. But anyway, you got to leave your emotions up out of it. And in the ancient world, younger women did marry and bear children. Young, man. Young, whether you like it or not. And the funny thing is, let me see if I can get that. See if I can find that precept, because there's actually two of them in Jeremiah and there's one in Job. And it mentions something. Does it say old path? I'm going to do a search because I have that precept. TNIV, NET. No. I should get up and get my Bible. Was it paths? paths. And I'm going to get into that. Let's see what it means by that. Okay, thus said the Lord Yahweh, stand ye in the ways, and see and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein. But looking at that now, we can't. You know? And I highly advise you not to. I mean, if the Lord's dealing with you, He's going to be dealing with you, you know, and protect you, though. But I highly recommend you not go that route, man. Because I remember years ago, the white boy who fell out was trying to actually pursue someone that was young like that. Had some girls come from out of town. And no, Salaki, that was another point. We met these girls at the Comfest. And then we invited them back to, me and his brother invited them back to his apartment. Aaron was staying with them too. And the two older girls had their daughter with them. The daughter was, 13, 14 years old. He's trying to get with her, man. You know, not trying to get with one of the chicks was interested in me. And the other one, I'm not sure if she was really interested in Paul or not. But he could have made moves on her, you know. But he's literally been a pervert, making her feel uncomfortable staring at her. Man, come on, man. Let's keep it real, because it's not going to happen. You know? Then eventually girls, they ain't like that, you know, so eventually they end up leaving anyway. But I just remember that, you know, you got to be wise, man, you know, especially in this wicked world, man, and imagine how the heat will come down on you trying to deal with a young girl that's 14, 15. She was 14 to 15 years old. You know, again, not being wise in the least bit, which was a common practice. So, where is the good way and walk therein? And we're not saying walk in it now. There's certain things you just have to steer from, unfortunately. But the world's going back to that, but that time's to come, but it's not now. It's not now, man. And ye shall find rest for your souls, but they said we will not walk therein. So let me hit on this here. Let's see what it's just the way and see and ask for the old paths. No.
Strong's H 5410. Nathiv. Second entry. Nethiva.
Travel with the feet, pathway, traveler. It's not giving you nothing there, feminine. From an unused root meaning to tramp. Beaten track, pathway, travel way, or just simple way. It stands for the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament. They have theological significance, gives a short definition to every Old Testament word, but goes directly in depth in the words that would be necessary. We have included this reference numbers for people with access to this tool. Anyway. I should go into no, that's not what I want to do. Let me do this way. Etymology. Let's just see what etymology gives us here. No, that's not what I wanted to look up was way. I wanted paths. Because you know path is not just dealing with a path you follow, you walk. Or like a trail, you know. Narrow passageway or route across lane track worn by feet. Train it. Origin. To tread, go, pass. But this is too much of a stretch for. Okay, it's not giving us nothing there in the now. Some Greek pathos suffering. That's one verse in a certain type of treatment, in which cases it is a back formation from. In which cases it is a back formation from. In the related sense. And sure, go look up. Let me do. Let me do this. Let me see if it'll give it. Because putting that S on it, if it makes a difference. No. Also one verse in a certain type of treatment, in which case it is a back formation from. Pathy in a related sense. Should I look up pathy? The old path. In the meaning system of treatment disease. So it's not really giving you nothing there. So let me look it up on my Bible, see if I have that precept. See if I have that precept, Jeremiah 6:16. I know I do. 6:16. Yep, I got something under here. No, a couple of them. Deuteronomy 32:7. There's one in Job there, though. Something in Job. Deuteronomy 32:7. Look, that's fire enough right there. Let me open another Bible there. Where's that verse 7? Okay. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Do ye thus requite the Lord, O foolish people and unwise? Is not he thy father that hath brought thee, that hath bought thee? Hath he not made thee and established thee? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee. And that's exactly what's been going down. But there's a jackass that referred to Apostle Tahar as what? Call him a piece of shit. Like, really? Okay, all right. That's not an elder, man. That's not a wise man. That's a fool. That's rejecting the old path. And let me do this as well. I have it up. Let me do this. Let me do this. Here it is. I asked AI. Here it says, here is a clear side-by-side comparison of the 1600s colonial America and biblical Israel when it comes to marriage age, culture, and expectations. This helps clear up a lot of modern confusion. Marriage age comparison category. 1600s Babylon, British colonies. There you go. Typical age for girls 20 to 22 years old. And honestly, I think they're making all that up, those years, 20 to 22. Because, you know, I don't see anyone getting married at young ages, man. That's so rare. You see them in the late 20s and early 30s getting married. But that 20 and 22, come on, that's a stretch. They're just making that up. Typical age for girls, 20 to 22. By that time, they've been passed around, used and abused, and had multiple prescriptions to each free clinic. You know, by that age, by 20 to 22, these women got memberships to the nearest clinics, man. And they do have their insurance. They do go get their checkups, and they do get them prescriptions written for them. They do get them prescriptions filled on a regular basis, especially for birth control. And the doctors are willing and quick to give them prescription. I got a little itch, you know, I heard them. I itch a little bit. I can still smell or whatever reason. The doctors are quick to write them a prescription, man. So by the time they 20, 22 years old, them bitches, they young hoes then, man. You can refer to them as number bitches by then. Biblical Israel, Old Testament, mid to late teens, 14 to 18, 14. So you see, and that's all just that's being answered through modern thinking, mind state, 14 to 18, where, you know, the flower of age can come at 12. Age for men is not the question. Legal minimum. Look at it. The early 1600s, America. Legal minimum. Girls 12. Boys 14. And look in biblical Israel. Puberty marked adulthood. Not fixed numeric age. There, ooh, look at that. Puberty marked adulthood. So when did a female, a young girl become a woman? When that period hits, that's puberty. Wait a minute, hold on. Just a simple question you ask, man. Signs of puberty in girls typically begin around the age of 8 to 13. 8? Now, I don't know about all that. Starting with breast budding and pubic hairs, followed by growth spurts, body odor, acne, and eventually menstruation period, with changes in body shape, wider hips, more fat on the hips, thighs, and emotional shifts also occurring. So the girl I was dealing with in the early 80s, 80, as a matter of fact, so like an 80. She was at 12, man, and I'm not even exaggerating. She was curvy as hell, man. With everybody's, man, she built just like a black chick, man. Niggas out, trying to get me to share her and shit like that. Like what the? Oh. And especially when we got up in the early ages, because I still kept contact with her, even after I wasn't dealing with her. I kept in contact with her a little, not a lot. And everybody like, man, lying, talking about, I met her, nigga, you weren't even at home. Niggas always lying, man. She was, I never would talk to any of your friends. And here, this one tried to talk to me, that one tried to talk to me. They were always trying to get with her, man. You know, being that long hair, tan skin, and voluptuous, thick body. Anyway, so at 12, she was filling out. You know, up body, everything, and she was having her periods. You know, I remember these things clearly. That was my very first boo. Not the very first girl I've dealt with, but my very first boo. You know, that I can call my girlfriend. You know, so there you go. Man, oh man, where was I at? I was looking up that Deuteronomy, wasn't I? Come on. Do ye thus requite the Lord? O foolish people and unwise, is not he thy father that hath brought thee? Hath he not made thee and established thee? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, and thy elders, and they will tell thee. Remember the days of old. Let me see if that gives us anything. Remember the days of old. Long duration and antiquity. Purity forever, ever, everlasting, evermore. Ancient world. Ancient time. Long time of past. All right. That's nice. I like that. The old world. The days of old. And consider. Days of old. Consider the years. Let me hit consider real quick. To discern, understand. You need to go any further than that. Perceive, discern. To understand, know. With the mind. To observe, mark, give heed to. Distinguish and consider. To have discernment, insight, understanding. Let me hit that Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Let me see if I have that precept under here with this one. Let me see if I have it under this one. Job. No, I guess not. I guess I have to read the whole book of Job to find it. So there you go, folks. You know? And again, the world's going right back to that, man. The whole world is going right back to that. Because what Yahweh Shem Yahushua is establishing, he's establishing his house, man, the house of David. He's establishing, you know, he's establishing the future governors of this world, the future world, the rulers, man, kings and priests. That's what he's gathering, man. And as a matter of fact, what's the scripture in Isaiah? Before I tell you these things, before I tell you, I'm trying to think of the scripture. Oh, man, it's gonna eat me up that I can't quote it. It's on the tip of my tongue though, knowing I should be able to quote it by now. Let me think. Let me see. Let me do this instead. Because it was one of those scriptures that I just marked and highlighted. I just highlighted it too. Just recently, not too long ago. I tell you of them. I tell you of them. It's not. Guess it was longer ago than I thought. Let me just do the search. Isaiah 42:9. Behold, behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Behold, former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth. Ye that go down to the sea and all that is therein, the isles and inhabitants thereof. Let the wilderness and the cities thereof lift up her voice. The villages of Kedar doth inhabit it. Let the inhabitants of the rock sing. Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Let them give glory unto the Lord Yahweh Shemel and declare his praise in all in the islands. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, war. He shall prevail against his enemies. And his enemies, especially the ones that are ruling this world, are totally against his ways, man. That's why you see these people in all their emotions. That's the work of the enemy. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. But my point, there's another one, old and new, that's in old and new. Yeah, I don't know where it is. It's all right. Let's see what precepts I got under here. Matt, oh. So there you go. There you go. So I'm not really going to get all into that, because it mentions the flower of her age. It's the young girls. I got all the way down there. 1 Corinthians 7:36. And this whole chapter that goes into a lot of that, but now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord yet. I give my judgment as one that have obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. I suppose, therefore, that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man to be. Art thou bound unto a wife, seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife, seek not a wife. But if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. But I spare you. And you have to listen to brothers, especially older brothers, man, that know what we're talking about when we're warning you. When you deal with these women, man, you're going to have to, the consequences that's going to come with it. You know? And they're going to come. Whether you like it or not. You know? And plus the stress, you're taking on, you have to take on that burden, because you just can't be hitting these women, man, and leaving to the next one, and leaving to, making that a practice, hitting and leaving, man. You know, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. And right now, my wife and the families, you know, well, my wife is my family, man, and I'm being straight up. My kids, man, they don't motherfuckers is just of the world. And they doing their own thing, and it's as if I ain't never. They're not even mine, and I'm not even joking, man. Shit, you know, we gonna have kids in the kingdom, man. But these motherfuckers, these demons, these monsters, these demons, they are totally rebellion, man. They may not be out slinging on the corner, slinging dope and making porn, or maybe they are, but or robbing and all this and that. But that don't mean nothing. They demons, man, on their own, And right now they're planning on 2026 being a great year. That's what they're planning on. A year of prosperity, man. That's literally what they're planning on. They're planning vacations and everything. I told them I can't wait till y'all motherfuckers leave. You know, and I mean it. I can't wait till they leave so I can be at peace here alone. Verse 30, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world and not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. And that means all of it, man. You know, it's false ways. It's false ways. It's ways as far as relationship, marriage is concerned. It's all passing away, man. You know? Who in the hell wants a woman that's been passed around and then this fucking idiot, this damn idiot drops to his goddamn knees like a fool and offers this bitch a ring, man? Like he done found a treasure, that proverb. You know, him that findeth a virtuous woman, dropping to your knee and, will you marry me? Will you marry me? Oh, anyway. Oh. But if any man thinks that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry. Sex. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but have power over his own will, and have so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. There's no wrong with that. Going through the whole ritual, you know, with family and whatever, whatnot. You know, the planning, all that, you know. So then that, read the book of Tobit. Give you a little insight on that. So then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better. This is beautiful, man. So that's this is the ancient world. So legal minimum age in biblical Israel was puberty, marked adulthood. All right. Marriage soon after sexual maturity. And I should ask what's considered sexual maturity, but that's puberty. It should be. Child marriage, rare among free people. Pubescent marriage, not supported in Scripture. Right. So there you go. So I didn't want to make it and draw it out as long as I did, but really you have to show these things, man. You know? So again, quoting that Jeremiah 16 again, the old path, man. And that's exactly where the world is headed back to, the old path, the ways of old. So let's give all praise, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders, bishops, and apostles, the great minister and great will. Hope you're edified. Till next time, Lord willing. Shalom.